A massive acquisition could be hitting Hollywood very soon, according to the Wall Street Journal, who's reporting Paramount Skydance is preparing a majority cash bid for Warner Brothers Discovery. The move would see the two titans of the entertainment industry come together, and you can see some of the massive companies that would be affected by the deal, like HBO and CNN, which are owned by Warner Brothers, and CBS and MTV under Paramount, not to mention their historic movie studios. This comes just weeks after Skydance closed another massive deal to merge with Paramount. So what could all this mean for the future of film and television? We're bringing in CNBC's media and sports reporter Alex Sherman to break it down. Alex, first, would this become the largest media company in the world?
Well, it would depend on how you define media company, because, look, I mean, Comcast is a media company in that it owns NBC Universal, but this would certainly dwarf NBC Universal alone in size. But these days, you know, YouTube is a media company, and that would certainly be much larger. Amazon is a media company. Apple is a media company. So it depends on the definition. But look, even Disney, you would say, is a media company, and it certainly wouldn't be as big as Disney. But it would be a very large deal. The market cap of Warner Brothers Discovery at the end of today was about $40 billion. It has another $20 billion or so of debt on top of that. So we're talking about a deal, you know, around $60 billion enterprise value. That's a huge deal, certainly. And it's way bigger than the company of Paramount Skydance today. So they would be buying a larger company here, and they would be using money from Larry Ellison, one of the wealthiest men in the world, to do it.
Or the richest man in the world, depending on what day it is. I do want to ask you, what do you think the Ellison play is here, right? Because, you know, if you think about the Ellisons, they're at the forefront of technology, right? Oracle, they are already there. They are in the quote-unquote sexy business right now in the world. Why do you think they're coming back and buying up legacy media?
David Ellison's stated play, take him at his word, is that he wants to modernize the media business. In other words, he wants to take media assets and sort of turn them into technology companies. Now, he hasn't fully stated how he plans on doing that. There are rumors that, you know, they would love to get their hands on TikTok if ever that deal was forced by the U.S. government. Of course, you need a willing seller in China, or you need them to be forced somehow. TikTok is owned by ByteDance, a Chinese company. But Oracle and TikTok have a long now relationship between the two of them, where Oracle has kind of been the back-end U.S. technology provider for TikTok. Even if they didn't end up buying TikTok, you could see David Ellison wanting to modernize the distribution of the media. So maybe they build kind of their own TikTok or something like that. Again, he hasn't fully explained the details here, but what he has said is that he wants modern media assets to be transformed into a way where younger people can view them.
Do you think, because some people have said this also, look, anytime there's a lot of money, the richest companies in the world at the time, Gulf Western, GE, I mean, you can name them all, have wanted to own media companies, movie studios, because it is fun, it's entertaining, right? It expands their brand in some ways. Do you think there's some of that here, or do you think there's a real strategy?
A little of column A, a little of column B. I mean, David Ellison grew up as the son of Larry Ellison. He certainly, you know, probably didn't need to work a day in his life if he didn't want to. But he grew up as sort of a young filmmaker and then morphed into the CEO of Skydance, which was a, you know, somewhat small, but not that small, film production company, which then kind of grew out to be TV production too. And then this was a giant leap forward with the most recent deal negotiated with Sherry Redstone to buy Paramount. So this would be an even bigger, leaps and bounds bigger deal if this in fact comes together, where Paramount buys Warner Brothers Discovery, which owns HBO, it owns the Warner Studio, it owns a bunch of cable networks, CNN, TNT, TBS. So they would become a major player in media. Of course, that's kind of a fun job, but look, it would also have to be kind of definitionally a good investment, because this will remain a publicly traded company.
Yeah, and then finally in the news world, in the world of journalism, you could see a scenario where, I guess, CBS News would merge with CNN?
Well, yeah, exactly how that would come to pass, we don't really know yet. CBS is a broadcast channel. CNN is a cable news network. You know, look, you could think of it sort of as NBC and MSNBC, right? Like they're not necessarily merged. They could still have two different functions, but they could certainly share resources. But look, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit there, kind of one step at a time here. The bid hasn't even been given to Warner Brothers Discovery yet, although I'm told that could happen as soon as next week.
And then finally, Alex, any sort of pitfalls, any hurdles here? We know Larry Ellison has a very good relationship with the president.
Yeah, look, you would think that there may be some regulatory hurdles here bringing together two of the largest movie studios, certainly as analysts have contemplated this deal, which they have in different iterations for many years. That has been one of the regulatory holdups, or at least potential. But we just saw Skydance merge with Paramount. This would be a bigger deal, but yeah, you'd have to think that the Ellisons' relationship with the Trump administration could go a long way toward getting a deal through.
And if you look at the history of tech leaders in the last 20 years, scale is the name of the game, and this might be part of a scaling a massive media operation eventually. Alex Sherman, always great to have you on Top Story, and always great to see you.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.